Kevin Kariuki Mburu. I abused drugs for more than a decade, and later on, I offered myself to a cult for money.
Keep it right here as we get to hear and see the power of our Lord Jesus Christ.
I'm a recovering addict. I'm born again. Yeah, so my story dates back from back in the 1980s. Nah, my father is a medical doctor. He specializes in medical lab and also a public health officer. My mom is a specialist in secretarism, being a secretary, and she's also an entrepreneur. She deals with cereals. And myself, I've done so much. I've done a diploma in social work and community development. I've done another diploma in clinical psychology. And I've also done another degree in development studies. I'm trusting God for masters in criminology and forensic science. So when I'm working, I work in all those areas. So it happened that my dad was a polygamous man. He married several women. And my mom was the first wife. And just like many African families, in the African and the Kenyan setup especially, men take alcohol. So my father was taking alcohol from his childhood, from when he was a teenager growing up. My mom was not born again, and my dad was also not born again. My mom was a Catholic, and she wanted to become a sister, a nun. But somewhere along the process, she got born again. My dad has been a free man doing what he wants, religious but not born again. So when they married, he still continued his behavior of taking alcohol, and he was putting some alcohol in the drawer. And then now they used to have like a party every weekend. And they used to make so much money at that time, 7,000 per week, because he was the first man to open a medical lab here in Thika. So in one single day, they were making 7,000. So you can imagine how much he was making in a whole month. So most of the money was being a part, of course, part of it was going to buy the alcohol and the party thing. So he introduced us to taking alcohols. Man of ice mixed with Sprite. Then now, because when you are taking alcohol, you know, of course there are other things that come about with alcoholism. Change of character, you know, domestic violence. So Dad began being a violent man. Started beating my mom. And then somewhere along, I developed a hearing problem. You can see I have a hearing aid both on my ears, and the box is here. So now, at that time we were in the middle of the divorce proceedings. So Mom noticed I'm not speaking clearly. I'm stammering a lot. Sometimes I can't speak clearly. So he told the incident to Dad. Because they're in the middle of a proceeding, Dad would not have taken interest in taking me to hospital. Not that he doesn't have the money. All the money is available. But because him and his wife are in problems, he refused. Then I happened to be totally deaf. I was not hearing at all. That means my performance in school went down totally. And that time, my dad was arguing and saying I did not give birth to a deaf boy, and blamed it all on my mom. So because Mom at that time was in stress, she went and spoke to my late grandfather, the father of my father now. He was someone who was very, very wealthy and affluent. He had all the money. At that time, my dad already had another wife, and they had children. And that child at that time was sick. So it happened that the money that was given out was originally meant to take me to hospital to be treated. But my dad took advantage of that and split the money into two. And then he took me to hospital. Not in a legit way, as I can call it. It was like a trick. He came to school when we were having a mathematics class and told me I'm being taken to hospital. I later found myself in hospital. They performed an operation of my ears, and Dad left. He never bothered to come for let's say 3 months. And when he took me there, he made sure Mom doesn't know where I was. So I was dumped there. Then after some time, I started grilling the nurses. Where is my dad? What happened? So there's one particular nurse by the name Priska. I don't know. I've never seen her from that time. She was following me a lot. So it happened that she came and asked me, is that man who dumped your father? Said, yeah. Why would he do that to you? So we began talking, and he could see the pains. You see, now it's a scenario where I can't cry, I can't do anything. I'm just hardened. So 3 weeks passed. Eventually, they came, all of them. And that's when I had my grandpa ask my dad in Kikuyu, no, weka mwana wito. In other words, saying, do you see what you have done to our son now? He doesn't want to see you at all. You have damaged him psychologically. They stayed there for another 1 month so that the wounds could heal. I developed wounds around the mouth area because the tonsils were removed. So now it was time for me to be discharged from hospital. And because I was empty inside, and I was introduced to alcohol at an early age, now that I've been damaged, in other words, I began doing it slowly by slowly. Just like people begin. That time the court had already ordered my dad to pay alimony, maintenance fee for my mom. But he refused. He opted to go to jail. So that time, me and my mom and my bro are staying in a house in Makongeni, a 2-bedroom house. No bills were paid. Of course, Dad is amekataa kulipa bill. So when he was released from jail, he now came with all the anger. He now sent us away from home. By that time, my brother was in high school and I was class 4 or 5 there. So he came home, started asking where his mom with a machete, with a panga, and threw us out of home with nothing. The words that were being exchanged between him and my mom were it was like a battle. Dad was telling us we'll borrow sugar, and Mom was concussing it. My mom got born again in the course of all those things. Actually, she was born again even before they divorced. And she had taken me to church, and just like normal Christians do, student education and all that. And I was actually active in Sunday school. And there was a pastor who spoke some words. It was many years back. So even though my family was going through all these things, both me, my mom, and my bro never lacked in church. We never lacked in church. But on my part, secretly, I was doing my drugs. So eventually, Dad left and said, I'm coming back after 3 hours. And if I find somebody here, I will kill all of you. So the neighbors, the next plot neighbor heard about our walls, and they gave us their rooms. So we slept there for that night. And then the next day, we went to live in a slum. Actually here in Cheganjo, many years ago, with nothing in the house. The only thing we had were the clothes we were wearing, and the first day we were given a mattress. And then the next day we were given a wardrobe by someone who's not even born again. So now we continued, they divorced, we are now living in a slum. I can't walk without my hearing aid. That is when my doctor prescribed and told me the only thing that can happen to you is either you get 10 million and you go and do a cochlear surgery where they put an inner nerve inside your brain, or you rely on a hearing aid. At the moment it is 3 million for you to be done that operation. Because mom didn't have the capacity to be able to buy the hearing aid. That means my uncle, that is my dad's brother, went to America and bought me my hearing aid. From that time I've been putting on hearing aids, both my left and my right ear. And then now, because we are living in a single room, mom had some savings which she opened her own business. That is how now life started. Now, I began socializing with people in the streets, actually known as chokoras. And we could relate with them. They would not beat me, they would not harass me. They were asking me, what are you putting on your ear? Unavanga earphone? No, that is a hearing issue. What happened to your dad? Home kumekuwa na sida, what. By that time I already knew how to smoke and do bangi. These street boys, they were hosted by a French doctor who was deported, who actually was excommunicated from his medical profession because of using morphine back in France. So he's now in Kenya. His mission is to destroy. He was giving those children bangi mixed with heroin. I didn't know it was heroin at that time. I was just smoking naively and innocently. But my thing was alcohol and cigarettes and a bit of bangi. So I did my KCSE. School leavers party came in. And of course, like many students, we banned the book, we celebrated. Now it was time to go to high school. 2001. 2000. A very distant school known as Mugiti. Those sides of Mtakaini. The weather is very cold. So that's why I began doing drugs seriously. On one end, I'm very, very bright. Because remember, the stories changed in high school, because now I have my hearing gadget with me. I can talk clearly. Therefore my grades went up. Chemistry, bio, geog, everything difficult, like simple to me. If you look at my high school grades, there is nothing less than C+. But I'm doing drugs.
Kevin Kariuki became a drug addict. This made him arrogant in school towards his classmates.
So I was working with a knife. Me, I was not Mona Lisa. I was Mona Lising from force. If you dare me, I just remove a knife. It used to be around my waist. Me vunga na belt hapa. That was now my life, double life. Drug and also in class, performing very well. So, of course, you know, when you're using drugs, we must get ways of making money. And because now we are organizing with these street guys.
Due to the drug taking, he took part in criminal activities.
The first game was, of course, the game we call rugby, where you snatch somebody's handbag. Me, I was not actually the one who was doing it. Because remember, I have another group of street children, and they have been sponsored by the doctor. And this doctor has befriended me already. Which means he has taught me the code of doing crime and getting away with it. And of course, the ones who are masterminders are the ones who are never caught. Even in the present criminal language, the ones who are on top, they are the ones who always get away with it. So that's what I was. So of course, rugby could not give us enough money to sustain heroin addiction and also alcohol and many other drugs that we are using. bangi, miraa, alcohol. That is where my trend was. Bangi was in the form of bazooka. Bangi umeweka cocaine ama heroin ndani, unaweka kwa box ya embassy. So in school, you will not even say I'm doing drugs, because I was ever neat. If you look at my photos from that time, I've always been smart. So it continued that way. Form 1 in Bugitia I took a transfer, because that school was very far. Therefore, I came near CBD, that is Tanya Boys High School. So now in Chania, I was there from Form 2 to Form 4. Form 2, I was doing drugs, in the sense that we used to go and take Ninja copies here, deputy principal, and we take the gate passes and we put stamps on it. So each time I want to go out of school, I just write my own stuff there and I give it to the gatekeeper. And I just pass. Sometimes I will question, sometimes no, hapa tumetoka nje sana. So what we are doing is going out, doing our crimes and then coming back. Sometimes we leave at night when they're not even aware. Unatoka usiku, unakuja asubuhi. So Form 3, it was evident. Now there was something wrong with me because I was feared by everybody. If you dare question my orders, utajuana mimi ni nani vizuri. So that is when now my parents realized I was doing drugs. All along they could not know. So I was taken to a clinical psychologist or psychiatrist, and they said I have depression. Because you know, when you are diagnosing something, you have to know the history of somebody. So based on what happened in a hospital, and now the divorce and everything, they said I have depression. But I did not say I was being, I minimized the problems and say I was only taking alcohol and cigarettes. I didn't mention bangi and the others. So I was now mixing the bangi with that. And of course, you know, the repercussions will get more high. But all that time, my grades were still intact. Chemistry, bio, physics, A-. Nobody will beat me in chemistry in my entire year, in my entire high school. Commerce, history, yani nilikuwa napata grades poa sana. So now, by that time, because we are going out of school and we are engaging in criminal activities, my friends were going one by one. Shoot out to the police. You know, criminals also graduate. Crime is like a behavior. You start stealing small and then you go big. So that time most of my friends and I were doing some robberies. So in the course of those robberies, there were of course shootouts. My friends were all falling down. So we were like escape. If you go to a particular town and then a friend dies, we now come back to Thika. If you go to that other town and then a friend dies, we now come to Thika again. So by Form 4, we only left 4 of us. It was the first term of Form 4. The time I was diagnosed with depression, it was Form 3 that term. And the doctor said I have to be a day scholar, because the medication was so strong. She didn't know I was mixing that medication with alcohol and drugs. So Form 4 sio first time to go in shule sasa. It happened that my class teacher gave a Kiswahili assignment and I was not in school the time the assignment was given. So when she was collecting the books or returning the books, kitabu yangu akaniuliza, where is your book?
Being his father violent towards his mother, he also became violent.
Nikaanza kumtukana. Who do you think you are? You know, I've paid all my school fees. Or do you have the guts to send me out? The only thing you're working for is money. Then why are you telling me about getting out? So the other classmates akasikia, hey, Kevo amekuwa violent. They told me to go out of class. So what I did, I went out of school, nikaingia kwa bar, Nikakunywa chupa kadhaa za Guinness na Pilsner Ice na nikarudi. So of course vile nilitoka alienda kwa staff room akasema vile alisema, and then the teachers were looking for me. But sasa mimi nilikuwa nje ya shule. So when I went back, nikaambiwa niende kwa office ya deputy principal. Kanukiwa pombe, nikaambiwa wewe, the only thing left for you is to go home. They were even insisting on expulsion. That did not happen because nilikuwa nimelipa school fees and nilikuwa nimesha book KCSE. So nikasuspendiwa. I didn't go home when I was suspended. I don't want mom to know niko suspension. I went to my friends. Because tulikuwa tumekomboa kanyumba. Na nyumba kanakaa kanyumba ka single room hivi. Tumeweka bed double kama 2. That is where we were staying. And the food there was alcohol and drugs. Hapo uko free kufanya kile unataka. That is the time there was nothing like Motudholo. Pombe was from morning to evening. So that was a life for 3 weeks. In those 3 weeks, 2 friends were shot dead. The guns that we are using then were hired guns. I'm not the one who was handling them. We were getting them at the time we were organizing. Because we used to meet in an incomplete building. And there were also these street children. I don't know where they were getting them. Myself, I was only giving them directives on how not to be caught. Because remember I said this doctor alinifunza code on how to get away with crime, how to commit it and not being caught. That's what my work was only to facilitate, but I was not like holding guns like shika ndakuwa leta pesa. I was not engaged in that. So suspension nikaisha, nikarudi shule, nikauliza where are your guardians? Naambia hawata, alisema my father is very far. We know mom is around. Because those teachers, we are fellowshipping them at Destiny. So they will go, mother kwenda kuuliza mama, are you aware that your son was in suspension? Mama kasema no. You mean for 3 weeks Kevin atakuwa kwa nyumba? He was suspended 3 weeks ago. Where was he? That is where now mama kaambia kuja. Mom was in shock. Niliuliza, Kevin, umesajua kusurvive kivyako? Ndia kwa nini mbona ni maisha yangu? Actually on August, and it was a long holiday. Something very weird happened. We had a robbery. There was a shootout. Nearly I escaped like with a whisker. That day I was supposed to have been dead. Gun imetoka nikaa inakuja hivi ikachip.
God was faithful to him and always made a way for him.
It came in. It was in a shootout of a bank. It did not get in like this. It came in like this. So there was like a chip formed. Naona sahii imefura. So after that nilienda kwa anko yangu. So I didn't go home. Nilienda kwa anko in Kilimambogo. An uncle who had a past like mine, kukunywa, madrag, nini. So she told me, Kevin, ile path unaenda ni path mbaya, utakufa eventually. So full of convictions, I went to church. Nikaombewa, wokovu nini, it was on September. So the last semester, the last time of Form 4, I was born again. But I was still doing my drugs. Nikifika weekend, mimi nivute bangi kidogo, na nikunywe. Ama usiku kabisa, toka preps, napitia kwa kona ile yetu, tunachoma ndukulu. That was it. In the morning you wake up, go and do your revision. So Form 4, at least I managed to get a C+. That was to me was a miracle. It means if I didn't do those drugs and engage in those crimes, I could have gotten a better grade. So nikatoka, nikakuja Kenya, nikarudi back home. So mimi nimefail I didn't get a good grade in math. So nikafikiria niende Form 5 and 6 in 2006. So I wanted to do biology, chemistry and geography. I wanted to do biology, chemistry, and geography. But the school, Creamland campus, they wanted to give me history, economics, geography, LK, history, economics, literature, and Kiswahili. But my heart was not in those subjects. So in Kafanya Form 1, I was the best in economics. But I did not have time to read those novels. You know, when you are high, you can't concentrate on a book like Nagisoma. You want a quick fix. So I wanted to do chemistry and bio, because that is what I was passing more in high school. My ambition was to be a medical doctor. So nikapasist Form 1, wakaniambia hapana, we shall consider, wait for the principal to come, next semester tukupatie hizo chemistry, wakakataa. So mimi nikarusha mkono nikasema, I don't want to pursue STI anymore. They don't want to give me what I want to do. Then why am I even here? So I left Uganda. Nikakuja Kenya. Of course my mother was stressed up. I'm stressed up. Anaona sasa amewaste pesa kunilipia Form 5 na mimi nikarudi Kenya. So I stayed that way for like the remaining part of that year. From June to December. By that time we had a base. We were calling Fort Jesus here in Thika. That is composed of the boys that we were doing the crime with plus others who are doing drugs. Pale tukikutana, you do what you like. Kama wewe ni mtu wa magoka, kuja na magoka. Kama wewe ni mtu bangi yote, tusimi tu ni hivyo hivyo. That time nimeogopa ukora. Nimeona marafiki wangu walikufa wote.
It became so bad that there was no other place for him to rob other than his home.
Nenda home, unapata kibeti ya maadhi iko na pesa unatoa. Nenda upata kitu inakaa tu pesa unatoa tu.
We're now taking a short break and we'll be back in just a bit.